Happy Sunday, happy Sunday. You know what I'm saying? Let me politic with y'all a little bit more today. You know, fuck with me with my scartel.com. I had to plug myself in. You feel me? Yesterday was pretty much more of like just a shout out on the event, man. For a lot of you guys that don't understand how involved, something as big as the Roll Bowl is. I think it's imperative that, we take time and really appreciate the guys that put that shit together, the people, and just like the vibe and the energy that kind of an event puts out. You feel me? So that was more or less the idea behind yesterday's video, but, chop it up with some of my guys, and talking and getting a lot of people reaching out to me where they wanted to know certain things, and leads me to the video that I'm making now. To come to the Roll Bowl, right? Because one of the questions that I was asked a lot yesterday in my DMs was, what's the best way to prep for an event like that, where a lot of people, I think, really got to see the caliber of bikes that were there. And bro, like, I had asked, prior to videos on Vegas prep, but I think that ideally, man, you gotta just come prepared, with everything that you could possibly think could go wrong, and just hope for the best. You know what I mean? Because you never know, man. You could go up against a shootout, one of the fastest guys, and if you got enough to the point where if he spins, it'll cost him a race, then. You know what I'm saying? You just did yourself and you made yourself look real good, regardless if you're faster or not. So, but bro, there's been a lot of conversation about fuels and stuff, which I had said in videos prior that this fuel shit was gonna be a thing, and it ended up being a real thing. The mismatch in fuels, and that's, bro, honestly. If y'all are racing for money, you know what I'm saying? I think you just have to be prepared for whatever, right? You just got to be prepared for whatever, because when you start playing the money game, it's a hustle. You know what I'm saying? You can't really be mad at the next man for his hustle. You know what I mean? A hustle's a hustle. If you want to start mixing up, being honest and stuff like that, when you have a hustler's mentality and you're in that kind of a game, it's even worse in the grudge world, but I think the grudge world, they don't really give a flying fuck, you know what I'm saying? Egos is flying, just like egos fly in this, but I think that when you start getting into the money game, bro, a lot of lines get blurred and things aren't black and white. I think when you get into that, you live in a gray area. And I think 9 times out of 10, you're probably not going to really agree, man. So there was a lot of that going on, man. You know what I'm saying? And just in between camps and, personal bike races going on and shit like that. And, will there be a class based on fuels? I think that's fucking ridiculous. If you guys are really gonna be, nitpicky like that, I mean, once again, it's a hustle, right? Like, people go over there with their absolute best and their bike set up the absolute best of their capabilities, right? So if that means they're mixing fuel, running M5, jet fuel, whatever the fuck it is that they feel like running, and their bikes are capable of holding it down, and that's the fastest way that, that's the fastest way they ET, whatever the case may be, then, how do you guys expect that specific person to maneuver? You know what I mean? Because I know that if I was on, let's say a big ass fucking motor, you know what I'm saying, and I'm running fucking a mixed fuel or whatever, that's what I'm pulling up in, especially if it's working for me. And if you come up to me to race, I'm not asking you any fucking questions. I know that I'm gonna feel like I have enough. I'm assuming that whoever is going to ask me to race feels like they have enough. I'm not going to ask you about fucking fuel and shit like that, bro. Like, I'm just not. you know, because I am, there's no, I'm not going to question myself. I strongly believe in what I have going on, so therefore I'm going to carry it as such, you know. Another topic too that was brought to my attention was the caliber and quality of bikes there, right? Like, I think that from what I was watching and what I saw, bro, there was a lot of like guys there that definitely did a good job with displaying a street strip bike. You know, like definitely falls into a somewhat of a race category, but you can tell they still ride their bikes. And I thought that that was dope. I wasn't sure how much of that I was actually going to see there. And it was fly to see that there was a lot of guys out there that you could definitely tell that they ride their bikes, and they're still very well capable of being in the roll scene and being competitive, which was pretty fly to see. You know, I think there was definitely a lot of bikes in that category, just as many as there were full fucking race bikes. That you could tell these guys don't give a fuck. Their bikes are ready for war. And they came to Vegas to really, you know what I'm saying, show out and do the best that they can. There was a lot of those too, bro. You know, a lot of fast ass bikes, man. Like a lot of fast. You could tell, like, just when someone makes a hit, man, you know if their bike is fucking slow or if it's not no slouch. You know what I mean? Like I saw a lot of that. I got a lot of fast ass vibes, man. So it only indicates to me that next year competition's only gonna get faster. You know, which is dope all in itself. So, you know, between the fuel and just seeing the caliber of bikes there, Jixers I didn't feel like really ran the show this year, man. ZX10s made a real strong appearance this year. You know, were the Jixers the faster of the bikes? Probably, you know. But Cowie's definitely made made a lot of noise. You know what I'm saying? Austin was out there killing it. G was out there killing it as well. You know what I'm saying? Um, who else? Ray's Busa, I felt like was killing it as well out there, man. You know, Cy Boogie was out there doing his thing. That MK4 uh, stock wheelbase was fucking working, man. Shout out to you. You got that thing dialed in, bro. Very, very impressive bike. Um, a lot of triple R's, man. It was, well, not a lot, you know, but a good amount of triple R's out there. You know, it was good to see Rowdy's old bike putting in work out there, man. He was definitely doing his thing for a bigger guy too. He was definitely out there doing his thing. Uh, you know, Adrian was out there doing his thing on Envy's triple R, killing that, man. He's definitely became one with that bike. You can tell by the way he rides it. Between him and Austin, I think they were the most consistent riders out there for the amount of racing they did. You know what I mean? I'm sure there were others that were consistent, but for the amount of racing them guys did, man, they were very consistent, man. You know what I mean? I think once Two Wheel figured out his bike, he was putting in work. Too Slow, once he figured out his bike and got it to hook, he was fucking hot lapping the shit out that bike. That young man is no joke out there, man. Shout out to Too Slow. You know, I was definitely happy to see the West Coast put on the way that they did, and the East Coast as well. You know, the West came through on a whole different type of time, I feel like, this year. You know, a lot of confidence, and some really high quality bikes, man. You know what I mean? It was really good to see G out there, because I think last year he had his 600, you know, and in a year he came out with something completely different platform, and held his own out there. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to you, brother. 702 Racing definitely had some fast bikes out there, man. Those H2s, bro. Jesus, I don't even know where to start with the H2s, from Manny's to Damon's. V4 Runner had a pretty fast ass one there too. Race Mindset had his H2 out there moving and shaking along with his Busa. Shout out to you, my boy. Shout out to Reg too, Race Addict. You know, Race Addict definitely came out. I was wondering how you felt about the event as a whole, bro. but you came through with some bikes, you know what I'm saying, that were holding it down as well. Um, Definitely some fire. I think that 702 Racing did a really good job with the classes, splitting up the classes. You know what I'm saying? As far as the stock motor goes, um, I think that's as good as it's gonna get, man. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody's gonna think it's fair, and I think that is what it is, bro. You know, you don't travel all that way not to get races, and I think that everybody got their races in. You know, from what I've seen, at least I felt like everybody got their races in. It was consistent, man. It was consistent all the days, even test days. You know, so as far as that goes, man, I think that the fuel shit is gonna be what it is. I don't see how. I think it's just gonna get too technical at that point. You know, if you start fucking around and like doing specific fuel only classes, you know what I mean? It's just street racing. It's not like we're not at a fucking track like where they can afford, right, to have 10 different fucking classes. At the end of the day, it's street racing. We should keep it in a minimum and enjoy ourselves. You know what I'm saying? And not make it too political or technical. You know, I do think we need a big class, you know what I'm saying, for the bigger guys. I think the heavy set guys were definitely showing out this year. There were some fast ass fucking guys out there, man, in the heavyweight class. You know, that if there was a heavyweight class, I think it would have been fucking full, 100%. You know, shout out to Reap, because I think Reap's really gonna protest to have a heavyweight class next year. You know, so hopefully you and 702 Racing could come to an agreement on that. You know what I mean? I would love to see that, because there was some fast ass boosters getting ridden by the heavyweight guys. You feel me? And by the way, shout out to Reap, man, because, you know, the first day when I was really just trying to work on the bike and getting a feel for the bike, you know, he was right there, like, you know, letting me know that shit was really working. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate that support, bro. And you already know how we give it up and how we get down. You know what I'm saying? Love you, my boy. Shout out to Reg too, Race Addict. You know, Race Addict definitely came out. I was wondering how you felt about the event as a whole, bro. But you came through with some bikes, you know what I'm saying, that were holding it down as well. Definitely some fire, you know what I'm saying. 43 Swoop had that carbon, he had that carbon triple R that was fucking, man. That shit was fire, bro. That carbon triple R was fire. I know you was having some hooking issues, but I'm sure when y'all sort that out there, you know, you're gonna be putting in work on that bike for sure, bro. T&E boys had some pretty fast bikes as well, man. I think it was that gray Gixxer, bro, that was fucking working. And a red one as well, too. Luckily, he was all right. I think his chain snapped or something like that, bro. That looked like it was gonna get dark real quick, so I'm glad that he's all right. Shout out to y'all, man. Shout out to T&E Robin, Jay Swift, all you guys, bro. It's good seeing all y'all, man. Appreciate the shirt as well. Shirt's fire. But yeah, they did their thing, bro. Man, it was just a lot of BMWs as usual too out there, man. Those K67s, bro. I don't know. I would like to know how many K67s was out there, you know, on a mix or on M5 or big motorbikes, you know. J Potts is fucking K67 is crazy, bro. It's one of the nicest cases between his Caden Sky S1K, them two bikes, man. It's just fucking clean as fuck and fast as fuck. You know, there was a lot of guys that you could tell came from the dig scene this year too that I noticed. There was a lot of dig racers that converted this year into the roll scene. And you could kind of tell that the bike was kind of a dig bike, you know, but they were fucking moving, bro. There's some guys out there that were really working. Yo, there was a dude out there with a with a dyno. He had a dyno out there. That was wild business, bro. I couldn't fucking believe it. I think I saw it Thursday. Was it Thursday or Friday? Near the end of the day, old boy was making dyno pulls on the mobile dyno outside. That shit was crazy. I should have took some video of that, but I didn't, man. Shout out to you. That was some wild work. I saw some crazy shit out there this year, man. You know, it was definitely fire. The energy was high. Vibes was lit, man. Vibes was lit. But bro, the quality of bikes was definitely different than last year. You know what I mean? I'm looking forward to doing to collaborating. We'll talk more about that in a later day with the West Coast guys and doing an event out there, man. I love the vibe out there. It's just different, man. It's just different out there. It's very hard to explain, like I said in yesterday's video. You have to really be there and witness it for yourself to understand. You know what I'm saying? And I'm glad everybody came home, you know, safe. You know, there was no major fucking issues, you know what I mean, during the event. It was very safe. Everybody was showing love. Everybody was very respectful. It's very dope, bro. Energy was high, you know, so I definitely appreciate it from my side, man. And I'll be looking forward to next year. I think next year it'll be an abundance of people. There was already an abundance of people. I felt like that would definitely, you know, playing around with mixtures this year. But I feel like next year, I think people seeing how, you know, a lot of the bikes that were moving with that mix will want to try, you know. So just be mindful, you know, because you could fuck around and find out. And it might not be, it may not work out. So just make sure you guys really do your homework when you start fucking around with that shit, man. And or let the professionals take care of that for you. But anything else that you guys may have, bro, for questions, man, drop it down below. You already know, you know, enjoy your Sunday, and I will see y'all soon. Peace.